such an asshole.
Hello, children. Old Capmeister here. We have a request. If you got requests, Cappy's got answers as long as you got money. This is from a regular of ours. Maybe I don't want to mention his name just to keep him anonymous so he can continue to go and have a good life. Hi, Aaron. I'm a single man, 31, living in a 2-bed apartment far from friends and family out of a large area town. I want to keep you anonymous. After 2 years of living alone with lockdown restrictions, I'm done with my apartment. He's buying he's got a condo, essentially. He's not renting. Location and my place in life. Back in 2015, I sent a video requesting your advice on housing haunts me to this day. Damn it, Cappy, you were right. Video link. Okay, we'll link there. Update since my last request. In 2018, I moved out of my parents' home at age 29. Following your advice, my parents both know and accept I am no longer Christian. Oh, okay. Somehow my mom hopes I'd revert back. Yeah, they always are. They're going to want you to. To this day, I still deal with the proselytizing WhatsApp content and concerned friends and family members. At the end of 2019, I was laid off from my previous employer of 5 years and offered a severance package. Applied for a senior role, turned down, but was offered the option to keep my role with an updated job spec, which meant working as a senior designer without a pay raise. Oh, boomers. Politely and professionally told my new boss to fuck off and took the $20,000 severance package. This was my first time being exposed to the corruption, cronyism, which occurs in corporate work. Yep, get used to it. I used part of the $20,000 to sign up for a part-time course. 3 months later, I landed a new job. My salary went up from $50,000 to $70,000. Nice little victory dance there. Since moving out till now, I've now saved $60,000, including the severance package, while paying a mortgage. Having read Bachelor Pad Economics, I minimized my expenses to save $2,000 to $3,000 each month. This year, I'm aiming to save. It's in a different currency. I'm trying to adjust it. $14,000 after investing. Roughly half. You got almost 70 grand in equity in your house. That's great, man. Look, no one bats 1,000. Okay, there's always things you could have done better. But if you go through this, you're not doing bad. I know you're frustrated. Look, had I known, I would have done a hell of a lot better. But I still did better than the average guy my age. No kids or debts other than my mortgage and remaining student loans. In hindsight, I shouldn't have listened to my parents about taking a mortgage on a condo. I felt they lived vicariously through me, but never offered support when I decided to leave my previous job. It was all doubt and pity until I landed my current job. After that, I've stopped seeking their approval, permission, and advice in life. Great. Not part of your request, but here's some, especially for immigrants, okay? Immigrants coming from a different country. Unless your parents are rich and successful, don't take their financial advice. Unless their advice is, hey, I screwed up here, don't do this. Like, I bought a car I couldn't afford, don't do that. When they admit they're wrong, then listen to them. But if they are not successful and they're like, hey, can you help us out? You're going to take care of us in our old age, right? Do not take financial advice from them unless you also want to be old and relying on your children to take care of you. Short background. In the 2 years, I realized that money isn't everything. I live comfortably, have good finances, but don't feel truly fulfilled. Well, yeah, work is only going to keep you alive. Ever since I finished my home improvement projects and course, I have a nagging feeling that I'm missing out on life. I socialize occasionally, but typically work, study, watch YouTube or Netflix, cook, work out, go for long walks, or play video games. All right, now hang on. Here's another thing. You got to put this into context. The past year, you've been in lockdown too. So keep that in mind as well. It's hard to feel fulfilled when you can't go out and meet people, even if it's something as simple as having a beer at the local pub. I socialize occasionally, but typically work, study, watch it. As a listener to your videos and podcasts, you often mention people are the number one most important thing in life. I didn't truly understand this until now. In general, turning 30 was the biggest wake-up call. Until then, I never truly sat down to question what I truly wanted in life. I just did what I was good at and went with the flow. In the past 3 years, I noticed I had issues meeting women. Again, excuse me. New social or work interactions and speaking publicly. Do you have to speak publicly for a living? I saw a male therapist was diagnosed with this severe social anxiety. Are you really? Are you? You seem to have your life together, man. Severe. I mean, like if you're just a little anxious, just relax, meditate. No, you're diagnosed with severe. So maybe you didn't tell me some stuff. Maybe you spared me the details. Was given steps to improve my mental health. Now I know what you're thinking, but seeking therapy really helped. Good. All right. I feel a bit more open and extroverted compared to being fully shy and introverted. I figured living alone wasn't the best setup moving forward. Yeah, I understand. Remember having roommates and being young and having some fun. But it's just a long, hard slog. I mean, I've always known the place since I was 24. And, you know, I had tenants, but not roommates. And, yeah, it is kind of lonely, I guess. But I don't know. I was just wanting to pay off my mortgage. But I did go out and do social things. Again, I cannot emphasize this enough. Do not underestimate the effect that COVID has had on your social life. In other words, I mean, might there be something wrong with you? Yes, of course. There could probably be something wrong with you. But don't misdiagnose it when you've not been allowed to go out and socialize, according to law and be in a lockdown, right? That is obviously, that has to be part of the formula. That has to be. So it's not necessarily all your fault. Certainly self-diagnosed, being intellectually honest, but don't forget that, man. And in other words, I'm saying, like, well, kind of forgive yourself a little bit, because, you know, not everybody is going out there. Past 3 years, I noticed I just social work, public speaking, situation plan. I'll cut to the chase. I'm tired of being tied to my mortgage, especially far from friends, family, and in a town which lacks that many social opportunities. I'm looking for a way out. I regret not taking your previous advice, not reading Reconnaissance Man earlier, and now realizing the benefit of renting while young and single. I take full ownership of my decision. Yeah, I'm out here, so you don't feel too bad. I'm not saying this to make you feel better. You got $70,000 in assets. I know, yeah, okay, rent, maybe you could have invested in stocks or something like that. You have $70,000 in assets. That's going to allow you to buy a place when you're ready down the road and make it quite affordable. And that benefit to me, slowly building up my equity in my house, that didn't really come into play until like 15, 20 years of home ownership. All of a sudden I'm like, oh, I own a house. I don't really have to pay rent ever again. All right. Though I can now afford to buy a house in the big town that I'm in, I now prefer to rent or share a rented house for some company. Smart idea. This way I'll have the freedom to live around the major town, experience different towns without being anchored to a place I truly don't know. I'll continue saving as usual. Moving forward, I plan on selling my property, hopefully by the end of this year, put my extra stuff in storage, rent, explore, and go out more. Well, hold it. Extra stuff. Do you need it? Can you throw some of it away? Because if you're going to rent two places. One place to rent for you where you could sleep, and another place to rent your stuff that you're not, by the way, you don't use it. When it's in storage, you don't use it. You don't see it. I've known people that have had their stuff in storage for 5 years. It's like, well, for 5 years, you obviously don't need it. I mean, I would purge a lot of your stuff, and then if there's like a couple mementos and things that are precious to you in your life you want to keep, see if your folks can hold on to it, like a closet or something. Boomer parents are going to complain, why are you giving us all this stuff? All this stuff that fits in a closet. You don't even use this room. I keep telling you to scale down. You don't do it. I've been oscillating myself for years. I don't feel like I've truly lived. Yeah, but okay, you've also been working hard. You go to work, you're going to school, you probably had some construction projects on your house. This all takes time. I hate to sound so sad, but most of my time in the past since graduating from college, it's been pretty lonely. Oh, I had a social life and I went out with friends, and I strongly recommend when they lift all these lockdown restrictions for you, especially, I strongly recommend looking and picking up ballroom dancing. I don't know which dance is popular in your country right now, but I would go with salsa. That's pretty universal. So no matter where you go, you're probably going to run into that. I don't know if swing dancing is popular, but find out what's popular in your area and go take some ballroom dance classes. Great way to have a social life. But aside from teaching, I'd pack up all my stuff. Everyone went home, and it'd be an hour drive back home. And I get home, and I maybe play some video games or watch a World War II movie, go to bed, wake up, do it all over again. Yeah, it's sad. And if you think about it, in the olden days, our great ancestors, Daniel Boone, or people exploring the Sahara, or Marco Polo, although I guess he had an entourage, probably. A lot of stuff is, men are to be alone for a while. You're to go out and hunt for a long time. You're to go and establish your place in the woods. You're to go and garrison over here and go on patrol. Yeah, man, you're going to be alone. But hopefully you'll set it up. You'll have a little bit more. At least you want to hang out with people. At least you have that desire. So that's the first step to getting over introvertism. Being an introvert. Given much thought, my options are to sell, live with my parents for a short time, then rent. Oh, no, not the parents. Oh, God, not the parents. I know what you're doing to that. Opposed to this long story, I could let you know if another email you'd like. We charge you extra for that. If you want, you can send in another request. 2, sell the flat, then buy a house worth $500,000 in the big town. But no, why? You just said you didn't want to buy a house. No, don't do 2. 3, become a landlord while I rent in the town. Not good. 40% tax, risk of bad tenants. Yes, especially in the big city like that, I wouldn't do it. Delay for an extra year till okay, I got a question. Why can't you just sell your house and go rent someplace? Are there not places to rent? And if you get rid of a lot of your stuff, you may even get like a roommate situation where you just get a room and you're saving a lot of money. No, this is quite some time ago. I remember paying $175 a month rent. It was just for a room. It was 1994. But yeah, I mean, you just need a room, or and do month to month even, just so you're like, oh, I don't get along with these people, and you can leave the next month. Now, how you doing? You regret doing a reconnaissance, right? Of exploring where you may want to go to live. Do a little bit of reconnaissance with your living situation. Get rid of as much stuff as you can. Store the rest of it at your folks' place if they're kind enough to let you do it there. If you get a great offer on your house and they got to kick you out because the new owners are coming in, fine. Go live with your folks for like a week or 2. But then you go find your ass a new rental situation, even if it's just a room, hanging out with some buddies. Maybe you make some great friends. There's your social life, lockdown or not. But you don't want to be a homeowner, and you need to go. I don't want you buying another house until you figure out where you want to live. You come across some town in your adventures, like, oh my God, this is the town I should have gone to. This is my belonging. And I don't know, there's a cute girl, or maybe there's just some good fishing nearby. But you're not buying another house. Become a landlord? Nope. Not in that town. Delay for an extra year. Sell it and then rent. I don't know. Now you're asking me to time the market. I can't time the market. Look, if you could get a good deal for your house, go do it. Now, I don't know if your country, they got the same, but Zillow has this thing, Zillow, Zillow. It's called Make Me Move. That's how I ended up selling my place. I'm just like, this is, you list your dream price. Like, okay, this price would make me move. Like, I'd be packing up my stuff, and I listed my price, and I got it. I'm like, I'm out of here. Bye all. See ya. Thank you for the money. What do you think about my plan? Would you do this if you were me? I would do option 1. I would just not become a homeowner. And then if there was a way to like live with your parents for a very short period of time to find a nice rental, I would also add purging yourself of all your material goods that you absolutely do not need. I got my memento box somewhere. I pared that down. It's about everything I kind of has value to me. It like fits in a little box. What's your thought on apartment sharing? Have you shared an apartment before? What's it like? Well, in the States, you can get like 1 or 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, I guess, apartments. But then you kind of move on to houses where you rent a house. And I've never done that, but I know buddies who did. And for the most part, it was generally good. You got to get the right guys, obviously. But, be clean, be quiet. Don't be a douche. Don't find dude. I mean, you're old enough now. Don't move in with a bunch of 19, 18, 20-year-old kids. Find a couple guys more your age, mid to late 20s, even early 30s. Either those strangers or the landlord. I don't know. Because you're so by yourself this entire time, it's not like it's gonna be any different. It's just that when you walk out in the living room, there'll be this synthetic family, whether you want them or not. And it gives you people to talk to, but if any time you want to leave, you just go back into your room. And I don't know. I've kind of, if I wanted to be social, I'd go out, be social. If I want to stay in, I'd stay in. I don't really know if I've had this problem before. But as long as you pick the right times, and this is why I want you to do month to month to find out where you want to go and where you want to be. What should I look out for when renting? Well, find a good, safe place. Doesn't have to be the fanciest place, but a safe place. You want them to do a background check on you because it meant they did a background check on other people. Again, I don't know how they do it in your country, but with credit checks and there's a rental application. You want them to do that, pay the fee, because then it's like, okay, we screen these guys and at least they're financially stable. They're not criminals. I got a request I got to do for a guy about Job Corps. And I'm like, oh yeah, I generally had a positive view about it. Job Corps is like this government program for people like to learn trades and skills. And I read through it and I'm like, wow, this is basically a program for people without their dads who just can't act like adults, even though it is predominantly for adults. It's like, that's the last place. Those are the last roommates I'd want. Having to deal with drugs and fight. It's like, you're 23 years old. What the hell is wrong with you? I'm looking to open. Oh, I would also say when renting, don't rent. Do not have female tenants. Do not go live. No. And not for they might falsely accuse you of rape. Sometimes it's not that. They don't mix. They leave crap all over the place. I've seen it. I'm not talking like when man and woman live with each other, but like female roommates. No, I've seen single females apartments. No, cat litter all over. No. Looking to open an investment account to invest $13,000 in index funds, mainly the S&P 500 and your country's main index. Am I in a good financial position to do so, or should I hold off now? Well, don't you want to kind of, I can't tell you what to invest in, but if you sell your place and you're going to net 70 grand, you're going to have to park that somewhere. Again, a diversified portfolio because your country also make money, printer go burr. And of course, your investments can go down, but over time, the more money we print off, it's going to inevitably find its way into the market. It's going to raise asset prices, not asset values, asset prices. And so you did all this work to build up all this equity in your home. But while you're also doing that, the money printer went burr in your place too. And housing and real estate prices have also gone up. And so one thing I'm very concerned about young millennials and Gen Zers is like, if you don't invest in some of these like you don't get diversified out of cash, they're going to make money printer go burr. And then you could have $70,000 in your checking account or whatever, earning 0.5%. And all of a sudden it ain't worth 70 grand no more. And now to get into it, now houses are $600,000 in your neighborhood and you don't have 20% down. So there is a risk obviously involved. Like if you invest in the market, it is going to go down. I guarantee you it will go down. Then it'll go up. Then it'll go down. I don't know by how much and I don't know when. That's all I can guarantee. But until you're ready to start buying another house, that could be 10 years from now. Yeah, you probably want to diversify it and invest it. And I'm not talking your $13,000 here. Why so little? I'd leave a little bit for an emergency fund, obviously 3 to 6 months living expenses. Maybe if you want to get more education, maybe a little bit of money for that. But then I would invest the lion's share into a diversified portfolio. If you are worried about the stock market and you'd like to invest in real estate without actually having to buy a home, you can invest in a real estate investment trust. But my concern is the lion's share of your money, that proceeds that would come from the sale of your house, would lose to inflation if you don't diversify it somewhere. Am I in a good financial position to do so, or should I hold off now? Yeah, you're in a good financial position. I mean, you got a job. If you sell your house, you're going to have a lot of cash. So you're going to have an emergency fund. You park that money. You know, I'm not saying you go and party and piss. I know somebody who sold his house back in the the financial housing bubble days. And he was sitting on like 80 grand and he just pissed it all away on partying and this. It's like, dude, that could have been your retirement. And like, you could have had such an easier life. So there you go. Thanks, Yves. Please feel free to use my first name only video response. We'll keep you anonymous. He's just a regular guy that comes in, regular listener to the podcast. So there we are. Chad Elkins in the house. James G, why did you pick South Dakota over Western states? Because it's going to sound really nerdy. Altitude and fossils or geology. I can do, when I was in Wyoming, I did okay mountain climbing, like real mountains with snow-capped peaks and all that. But that's because Wyoming, you're at like 6,000 feet. And then once you go back to low elevations, you become a flatlander, and then you get altitude sickness if you go up. Like I did Griffith Peak, which is no more than 11,000, I think, in Vegas. Man, that last 500 feet was murder. I was fine the first, 2,500 feet, but the last 500 feet was just absolutely painful. It's because you're not getting enough oxygen. You're not acclimated to the height. South Dakota, the Black Hills, are they mountains? Yeah, but they're very low-level mountains. The highest peak is 7,200 feet, so I can bang that one out. I still get a great hike, but I'm not dying of altitude sickness. And certainly over time, more I live in South Dakota, I acclimate myself. I can maybe hit mountains in Wyoming and Colorado or Utah. But that's one main reason. And so I like the Black Hills a lot. And I like some of the canyon hiking as well. Is it as pretty as Moab or Colorado? Not really, but it's pretty enough for me. Number two thing is the geology. There's agates and fossils out there. And I love just going out there and hunting agates and fossils. It's very calming, very meditative. Some of that happens in Nebraska too, not South Dakota. So you drive all the way down to Nebraska. The agate beds down there is just peaceful. Just very peaceful. I just listen to headphones and go. I think I binged on maybe an entire 2 years of Tom Leykis' show in that agate bed, just looking for agates. You don't even care if it's like fishing. If you find a fish or an agate, you're very excited. You get a cool fossil, you're excited. But and then the motorcycle riding, obviously. I'm not a big fan of the Sturgis Rally, but I am excited. I do like motorcycle culture. And so as long as you're not there during the Sturgis Rally, there's plenty of motorcyclists and plenty of motorcycle bars and restaurants and motorcyclists themselves. And so I like that. And then South Dakota, it's you're at the vanguard of the West. Yes, you're on the plains, but you go any further west, now you're in mountainous territory. You're approaching it rather quickly. And so there are other places like Utah I wouldn't mind. I think Utah is the prettiest, Moab especially, but you got to pay state income taxes there. I love Colorado. That's probably the funnest state because everything is there. But you got traffic in Denver and you got state income taxes. Montana's too cold, but also beautiful. Idaho, kind of the same thing. Cascades are too wet. That Pacific Northwest, not enough sun for me. Not enough sun. And then and I love Nevada, but Nevada's kind of nothing. You got Vegas, that's fun. And you got to make sure it's not summer because it's too hot. I love Arizona too, but again, too hot. South Dakota, and I know South Dakota does get cold. It actually does get pretty cold at times. But then I'll just go to Vegas. Yeah. So it may not be for everybody. And keep in mind, when I say South Dakota, I don't mean the state. I mean like the far western corner of it, because 90% of South Dakota is boring as hell. Fred Freeman, Sowell for $5. AV, Atham Fund. Atham Fund. I paid double for the vasectomy fund insurance in case they send Cappy to the gulag. Almost help fund the Atham vasectomy fund. Have a good day, Cappy. Yes, if you want to make a donation to Atham, put AV, Atham's vasectomy, and then I'll send that money out to Atham. And I think we got another 600 roughly to go. Yeah, Elkins, every so often he has problems. Did you guys see Chad Elkins was internationally famous yesterday? He made the Chicago WKASM ABC 7 number 2 affiliate. He got interviewed about tax questions and was made very popular. The chick who interviewed you was not the worst of the on the eyes there, Chad. She was I was like, how you doing, sister? Like, she was, I think, the only thin black chick in all of Chicago. I'm like, hey, how you? I know. There's 2 more. I'm just kidding. All right, there we go. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.